lot of that movement, Bela Kuta, all I can say is that no matter what tune he is doing, it evokes an energy that makes these old bones want to rock with it. And that's why it's so important to represent the drums in that energy. It is important for us to recognize that it is that energy that and that faith that's going to keep us going. Part of this libation, our sister had used the term ashe, said, so it is. Because we're an African people, there's some people here who represent the traditions out of Ghana or other places. Inside would be that word. If we were to go to Haiti, it would be Agabo. If we were just to understand the nature of Kiswahili, and she mentioned Kiswahili in her presentation and representation. Uzua represents that. And it's important to understand that those of us who have been a part of the Christian tradition, a man represents that too. So we need to embrace all of those words of power and recognize that those words of power should push us and propel us to be the best of who we are. Because we have a lot of work to do here in North America. We have a lot of work to do in the diaspora. We have a lot of work to do on the continent of Africa. There is corruption. Because we recognize that, like I said, it's our responsibility to be ambassadors and represent the best of our traditions. And so, I'm going to not assume that everybody understands everything about libation. But what I can say is that we see in this Kujichagulia emoji, the unity cup, that happens to be a cup that was created in Haiti. Haiti was the first black republic in the Western Hemisphere. Haiti was the first nation to abolish slavery. Haiti was the first nation to help liberate some of the African indigenous nations on the continent and also South America. And so we have to recognize the tradition and the strength of our people. We have water. We have a plant, soil. I don't care how far you go back and which creation story you look at. It is always the soil and the water that represents the building of a human being. How much percentage of our bodies are soil? How many of water? All I'm saying is that we also have to acknowledge that the symbolism means something. It's tied to a reality that we have to deal with. So when we do libation, and I'm going to share a little bit more history too. It was the blessings in the same period, late 1960s, early 1970s, that the psychologists, both sisters and brothers, began to look out on the streets and realize that the issue of ancestral memory resided in those brothers who were on the corner with that MD 2020 or that Coke or that liquor. Bottom line, they always hit that cap and said, this is for the homies who aren't here. And all I'm saying is, part of this is to try to begin to understand that there is history that needs to be dealt with, and that we need to study more and give thanks to those psychologists who've given us that information. And so what I'm going to start by doing is with the first drink is to the Creator. And because this is a community activity, I want you all be a part of this and call out our national sheroes and heroes. Hear what I said? Sheroes and heroes, which means all of you. Remember, when I came up in Kwanzaa, and Mama Dabatu came up in Kwanzaa, most all we heard was they talking about all the brothers. We now understand that sisters hold up half the sky. And so we got to go ahead and call out those heroes also. So, call out the names of our sheroes, national sheroes and heroes.
Francis Wellesley.
We have began to call out some of those heroes, and some of those names and those heroes and heroes were actually freedom fighters who fought against enslavement and colonization. Now what I want you to do is, because with libation it's all about bringing the family together. So you've got some family members who are ancestors. So bring them into this party. Our family are here, but also represent who we are to be. So we recognize that we have children in our loins. So we give thanks for them. We give thanks for the future generations who are going to have to carry this torch much further than we've taken. We also have to recognize that we have political prisoners, prisoners of war, and people who are in exile who have fought for us. And lastly, what I want to say is it's important for us to do libation not only during Kwanzaa, but do libation every day. Because that's where the strength comes from. Everyday affirmation in terms of who we are, authentic as who we are to be. So I say, okay. Thank you much.
Thank you so much. Give them a round of applause, please, family. Ashe. Yes. How are we feeling? Are we feeling good? Yes. That's wonderful. I am 100% sure that at this moment, we are going to move into story time. Yes, I see the excitement on your faces. So, if we can, do you need a brief moment?